Demo, can you hear me out there?
I hear you, sir. Can you hear me?
I got you there, my friend, loud and clear.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of REUZEL Education. I'm coming to you from Montreal. My name is Pedulla, Scumbassador with REUZEL. This is a good client and friend of mine, Jeremy, who I haven't seen in 3 months. I haven't cut his hair since, so this is the first I'm seeing him. So I'm a little excited because it grew in actually really nicely, and Jeremy's just got a great head of hair. So I was really excited to get him in here. We're actually officially opening up our shop on Monday of next week. So this whole week I've been pretty much prepping the shop, getting it ready for what's to come, the new normal. So we're very excited about that. Other than that, what we're basically hoping for now is extended times with our clients. So I think that's amazing because we've always practiced that in our shop anyway. Extended times has always been something that I feel is extremely important. Giving a proper consultation, giving a proper diagnostic of the actual haircut and diagram of the plan you're going to go through. So nothing really changes for us, really, except for I put a couple of partitions. But as far as our service goes, we're pretty much still managing to do the same things. One thing that's great with the pandemic, they're not recommending that we wash hair. And as you know, REUZEL, we're very fond of the hair tonic in our water. So that's fantastic because this itself acts as almost a disinfectant in itself. It's going to basically help dissolve any product buildup that he may have in his hair. At the same time, it's going to help break down those products to make the hair a little bit more pliable. And at the same time, it keeps the hair a lot more hydrated, so it's easier for us to cut. So looking at Jeremy's hair, like I said, I haven't cut his hair in 3 months. So it's grown in very nicely. I'm really excited about not cutting a mannequin's head. To be quite honest with you, I'm excited about having a live model. More so because a mannequin's head is great to understand movements and understand what kind of approach you're going to take, but it's hard to really understand what the hair will do or how it will react. So Jeremy, for example, always had a side of his hair that gave a little bit of resistance. And the thing with his hair was that resistance it was very hard for me to keep it kind of flush. Now that we've had this time to grow it, his hair's automatically taken that shape. So what we've always tried to do in the shop with a lot of our clients is try to build a game plan for them that we can eventually get to, right? We might not get the cut that we want today because this and so on, or it was cut too high or it was undercut for what we wanted to do. Now we basically have a game plan that coming back into this, majority of clients are going to have a lot more length to play with, right? So a lot of those problems that we were facing with our clients earlier, I think we'll be able to address now. So I'm excited about all these changes coming forward. So now with Jeremy, I'm basically going to continue what I've always done. I always love a classic pompadour or a hard part pompadour. It really works well for his type of hair. He's in the financial business, financial world, so it's always a little bit more, you want to allow a little bit of conservativeness to it, but at the same time, on weekends, you want it to be playful. And I think this is a really cool style for a gentleman like Jeremy in that line of work. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do is same separation, always focusing on our baseline. So, following shape of his head. Cool thing about when you're looking for a baseline, how important your comb is and understanding your comb and how it works. When I comb through the hair following that shape, I can see with all the lines of my comb exactly where my separation should be. So, following that, follow it all the way through to the back. I now have a clear picture of where I'd like to separate it. All right. Okay, so keeping a nice solid baseline, I want to keep a nice angle to keep that weight. It's really important when work with really clean lines. Okay, so whereas before, if let's say we had rushed or we squeezed in a client, now we know there's going to be none of that going forward. So let's take the time to really put all our steps into play. If we're going to have to extend our times with our client, well, let's make it worthwhile, not only for the client, but for ourselves, right? Making sure that we have every step properly done and that we know all our separations are clean and visual. That's one way we really love to work at REUZEL. And now it's something that we can all start to implement into our own schedules, right? Because I've given classes where people have said, well, we're on a clock and we always take a client every half hour. Well, we know now we're probably gonna have to extend our times a little bit. So let's start giving more of a service, right? Let's really start to examine exactly what it is that we want to give our client, more than just a haircut, but an experience as well. So, taking my clipper, following his baseline, right? So you can see where I've separated the hair. You guys see that? Well, when I come in with my comb, using my comb as my guide, right? I can come straight up to that and then determine exactly what kind of an angle I want to take. So just to go with a smaller cut, just to give you an idea, and then we'll work our way down. I want you to visually see what I'm doing. Okay? Now, just removing that, you automatically can see a shape taking place. That was one cut, and I really feel the beauty about what we do with REUZEL, at REUZEL, with all our haircuts, having the structured foundation, our structured approach to creating our haircuts, our classic cuts. The cool thing, or the interesting thing, is that it's the visual you get is instant. There's no hiding that haircut. There's no hiding that line. And it's almost impossible to mess it up because I can now follow onto my next section, and using my first section, I can see where my guide is, and I'll work my way through. And all the way back. The funny thing about our process at REUZEL is, although it's so structured and although it's so detailed, and we follow such a systematic approach, it may seem at first that this would take too long. But the reality of it is, it reduces our time so much, and it makes the haircuts completely 100% consistent because we follow those same steps all the way through. So to repeat, following my guide, keeping my comb nice and square, right, to create a nice square shape, and I follow almost like conducting an orchestra all the way through in a nice, clean motion. So there you have it, following around the ear. And working my way down in panels, okay? So I created my baseline. From my baseline, I started working in panels and working my way down to clean it up all around. Right now, all I really want to do is remove the majority of the bulk, okay? By removing the majority of the bulk, I get to see my overall hairstyle. I get to see exactly how it's fallen into place. And then what I'm going to do in my second haircut, once we've dried the hair, put in our grooming tonic, gave it the styling that we wanted, now we can see visually our hair dry, what we want to do to it, and how we want to fine tune it and customize it. It's really important, I feel, to have a first cut and a second cut. Your first cut is what we visualize. This, we create our roadmap. We see where we're going to take our separation. We understand where we're going to start our baseline, and we're going to work at creating that overall hairstyle. Then, once we've created that overall hairstyle, in our first haircut, we've created what we want as an actual haircut for our guest. What we want to do is now tailor it. I compare that to walking into a men's suit store. When you walk into a fine tailor, we good?
All good.
Okay, sorry, I had an incoming call. So when we buy a suit, walking into a tailor shop, you're a 42, a 38, a 36, whatever you are. That's a general idea of your body build, but no two bodies are the same. Everyone is built differently. Maybe broader shoulders, like myself. I'm huge upper body. Jeremy's very tiny. Now the thing is, whatever your body type is, you need to have that customized, right? And it's the same thing with the haircut. It's great to say, like, I'm going to give him an executive contour. I'm going to give him a razor faded pompadour. Whatever it may be, that's a general idea of what we're going to do as far as a haircut. But then we have to fine tune it. We have to tailor it. And that's what we do in our second haircut. So, much like a tailor, I feel what we do is pretty much the same thing, but in hairdressing, right? In barbering or hairstyling. What we really want to create is a custom hairstyle for our patron. Wetting down the second side. Created my base all on this side. Same thing now. I'm going to work my way all the way to the back. Separate my hair. I can't stress enough the importance of proper sections and clean lines. It makes such a difference in the detail of the overall haircut, in the finishing of that haircut. You will thank yourself for taking the time if you were to plan properly. I remember I had a great uncle who was a high school principal, and he lived across the street from us. And he always told me, whatever it is you do, figure it out what you need, prepare, get all your tools in order, and then execute. So from a young age, every time I always wanted to start something, rather than rushing into it, I always remembered what he said. And I always, okay, what do I need and how am I going to work through this? And the same thing with hairdressing or barbering or however you want to call it. Now it's pretty much the same concept. Everything that we do now, I feel, with the structure that REUZEL put together, with this systematic approach of cutting hair, it makes it almost like childproof. You know what I mean? Anybody could actually cut this. If you really just follow the steps and have a nice structured approach, it makes it so much easier. Okay? Just want to clean up this line. All right. There we go. Feels almost foreign cutting a real person's hair. How's it feeling for you, Jeremy?
Fantastic.
Rebirth. It's a rebirth. So, again, following a nice clean stroke. And this is the side that I had usually always a hard time with. And automatically just cutting it, I just love to see the way it already just sits. You know what I mean? It's creating that nice wedged angle that I wanted, but without that spikiness that I used to get from it. Okay, so again, good things come out of this pandemic. All right. To block you guys. And now we created that baseline. Now I'm going to work my panels. At first, I was really thinking I was going to really taper his sides or really go with a strong razor fade. But looking at the growth of his hair, I don't want to take it down as short as I anticipated or as I pre-planned before actually seeing his hair. I'm actually liking the length that he has. So I really want to just kind of taper along the bottom, but keep a little bit more texture on the inside. All right. And now working our way all the way to the back. Same thing. So you see, just working down in panels, following my last section. You can see the whole haircut, right? Your whole foundation come to life. Alrighty. So now, okay. So now that I've created my foundation, my baseline, cleaned up from baseline to contour, I have my overall visual of where I want this haircut to go. So now, taking my top and blending all that in, right? Automatically, just removing this and seeing how that length on the top just sits on top, comes into it. You can still see how much of an effect that baseline has on the haircut, the importance of having that baseline, that, right? Because to me, it's all about visual. It's all about wanting to see the haircut before the actual haircut is completed. I want to pretend like what I'm looking at with the client is almost a block of clay. And what I want to do is just chisel away and find the hairstyle that's buried inside. And that's what I've basically been trying to do with Jeremy right now. I'm looking at his overall hairstyle. I'm looking at the shape. I've created the baseline. Now I can see that starting to punch out and wanting to come through. Following now, from hairline, creating 3 triangles. I remove my front end. All right. Then from behind the ear, I go upward. Okay. And remove this section, keeping everything else in the back. Okay, I'm going to just tilt your head this way so you can see how you have your front, your back, and your center triangle. So one section, right, from above the ear, front of the ear. Second, from behind the ear, working our way towards crown, top of the head, bringing everything back, and now the whole front. Now, working our way with the back panel first, I'm going to use basically the width of my comb. I take my first section, okay, and bring that to my baseline. Keep the hair really nice and wet, easier to work with. Now, bring everything to my baseline. 90-degree angle. I can see where my guide is. My baseline comes through. And I'm going to cut my section. And what that's going to do, it's going to marry into the base of the haircut. Okay? That little bit right there. And automatically see that shape take place. Okay? Same thing. Take the next section over. Bring that again back to that space. See my guide. Clean it up. 90-degree angle all the way to the back. Another thing I love when you're wetting down the hair and using the hair tonic, it's the feel of the hair, okay? So he came in, I asked him to come in with clean hair, so that'd be easier for us to put product and cut through. But if a client does come in with a bit of product, the cool thing about the hair tonic is that's exactly what it's meant to do. It breaks down the product, right? So it almost makes it repliable and workable for you to actually continue cutting it, okay? So that nice moisture in his hair, okay, keeps the hairstyle pretty much how I want to see it. And I can already see that overall hairstyle, okay? Now I'm going to take my next section, center, okay? See, width of the comb. Take this through. I'm going to drop you a little bit. There we go. Okay, yeah. Now the same thing at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to slightly over direct it. Okay, slightly over directed, bring it a little bit towards me. Okay, because what I want to do is keep as much length as possible in the front. Okay, finding my guide, there it is, and merging it into that back section. Okay, same thing, take my next little section over, 90 degree, see where my line is, clean that up, take that full, and not much to clean up there. Okay, so automatically the overall shape has already come into effect. Taking my front piece, same thing, width of the comb. Okay, so now this, I can, if I wanted, okay, freehand it and just work my way forward, keeping it long. At the same time, I can bring it back, maybe point cut it to keep a little bit of texture in the front, okay? But I want to keep this long. Same thing down my next section over, continue that. There we go. I'm going to take that full section over. And just fine tune my little edges. Okay, so overall, the full haircut is taking place. Okay, I can automatically see my angle. This will be nice and slicked down. I can see my height at the top, and I can see the way everything blends in into the back. Okay, blending in on the other side, same principles. Okay. Down. So again, above the ear. Okay, we're gonna go taking that section, behind the ear, taking that section. Okay, so right over here, following his line, I'm gonna remove this section. Okay, move the whole front end, following the back, removing that whole center. Okay, taking this space in the middle. I get a clean. Okay, just to give you a visual, I'll tilt his head. You can see one section, panel in the front, panel in the back, and the center one. Okay, so working our way from back. Okay, we'll get a clean shot from here. Width of the comb, bring that back. Start in the front, 90 degrees. See where my guide is. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Nice and clean. Okay, going all the way through. Oh, I'm covering. Okay. All right. Same thing. And we're going to work our way through. Not much to cut here. Everything coming out basically at a 90-degree angle. Trying to stay out of your way. Okay. And let's see how this is looking. That looks fantastic. Bring that whole piece over. And you can see everything blends in. Okay. My centerpiece. Right there. Okay. So, see if I can try it on this side for you. No. Okay, I'm going to over direct it slightly back. Get it combed through. Okay. Lift so that you can see where your guide is. So I lift my section so I can see it. And I cut to my guide. All right. Continue that all the way through. Okay, same thing. Follow my guide. Nice and simple. Everything is there. I take this full section now. Nothing to cut there. Okay. My front section. Drop this. Okay. I'm going to bring it back. All I want to do is point cut to blend that in. Not really touching much in the front. I want to keep that flow. It's exciting coming back and having all your clients with this lush hair grown out that we've been trying to get it to grow out. It's always the hardest thing with the client because, well, I work and I can't really grow it out. My hair doesn't, well, you've had 3 months at home. You're not seeing anybody, right? So at this point, it's great to be able to grow everything out, get your clients now a fresh start, and make 2020 sexy, right? The least we could do. They've taken everything else away from this year. All right, so there. Overall haircut, okay? Pretty much done. We're looking at the basic structure of it, okay? So now what I want to do, put in some grooming tonic. My grooming tonic will give a nice foundation to the hair, adds a little bit of structure. Now, because I'm keeping it a little longer, I want to have a little bit more movement to it. So I'm going to use the grooming, the spray grooming tonic. So it's just basically a little bit of a lighter hold than the grooming tonic. Same product, same great results. Just I wanted a little bit more movement considering now I got some length and I want to play with that length. So I really want to work this in there. Blow drying is very important. Having the right product is very important. And the combination of the two is very important, right? You can't have one without the other. You can totally style the hair with no product in it, but the one thing that will happen, it doesn't have that same pop, doesn't have that same hold, doesn't have that same overall feel of what you want to create. So when you're creating a hairstyle for one of your clients, it's important for your client to understand what you've done. So as much as we like to educate ourselves, it's important to educate our clients. So one of the things I've always put into play, part of our consultation is our education. So we do our consultation, we educate our clients as we educate ourselves on what we're going to do, the roadmap we're going to take, how we're going to create this overall hairstyle, and then what products to use. Because it's really important that your client understands how to recreate this at home, right? Because if you did everything you possibly could to give this guy the best possible haircut you can give him, but you haven't given him the proper knowledge he needs to know, the steps he needs to take, and the tools he needs to use, when he goes home and tries to recreate this hairstyle and fails, well, then it's only a good haircut to you, right? To your client, it just didn't work for him. So it's really important that we educate our clients on everything that we do. Why we put the grooming tonic, what it actually does, so what benefits the product has. All these things are really important, and as a Scumbassador or as a REUZEL distributor or as a salesperson, whoever it may be, whoever is your contact, or even online, we have all this information online. Every product with all its tips, benefits, all how to use it, and everything that comes from that product. We have Scumbassador tips. We have at REUZEL.com, you'll be able to see everything you need to know about our products, our product knowledge, and you can then return that information to your client and show your client that there's more to you than just a haircut, right? Because that's really important. We're not just people that cut hair. We like to believe that we're a lot more than that, right? We're a part of their lifestyle, and it's important that they understand how what we did in order for them to have a certain hairstyle and how they can recreate that at home. So, putting the grooming tonic, grooming spray. Yeah, I left mine. Give me one quick second. I'm gonna grab a brush. Jeremy, entertain them.
Forgot my juggling balls.
All right. There we go. I'm back. Denman vent brush. Okay. Now I know what you're thinking. A lot of people are saying, with my male clients, they don't blow dry their hair. They're not going to style their hair, and that's true to some extent. Okay. One thing that I've realized or I've learned in this profession, a person will do whatever it takes in order for them to look good. If they care about their personal appearance and they care about their hairstyle, they're going to want to know how to recreate that at home. Okay. So there's nothing that is off the table. Again, I'm not stressing that my client needs to buy a blow dryer, needs to buy a vent brush, but I will explain to him that in order to get this look fully, he's going to need certain tools. And by educating the client is one thing. Telling them what they need is one thing. Showing them how well that works, now that's a whole other thing, right? Because I could tell you, oh, this product is going to do this, 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 and this. You take it, you go home, and it doesn't. Well, then I told you lies, right? To you, I'm a liar. He didn't sell me. He's just a salesperson. I want to show you how this product works, and that's what's important. That's where the actual foundation comes in between the relationship of you and your client, right? When I'm not selling them a bunch of BS, I'm actually selling him what I feel he needs. Or not even selling him, I'm educating him, because that's another term that people in our industry tend to always say. Well, I'm not really a salesperson, so I don't like to push product on people. And you're 100% right. I'm not a salesperson either, but I am a professional. And as a professional, I want to explain to my client the importance of product and how they can benefit his overall hairstyle. That's just my job as a professional. Now, whether he buys it or not, it's entirely up to him. But I want to make sure that I give him all the tools possible and all the information he needs to recreate it at home. All right? So now, blow drying hair is really important. I'm not going to talk much while I'm doing the blow dry, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a visual of what it is that I do. So blow drying, nozzle on the blow dryer, very important, okay? The reason why we have the nozzle on the blow dryer is it helps direct the hair. Without it, it just shoots hair, like air out completely, and it doesn't really give more of a shape, right? So I want to basically help direct the hair. Using a vent brush with my blow dryer nozzle is going to help push the hair. So all I want to do is I want to fan the hair right in the direction that I want it to sit. That's it. I don't want to do more. I don't want to force the hair to do something it doesn't want to do. Okay? So here we go. I'll use medium heat, high speed. Okay? So remember that, really important, medium heat, high speed. When it's too hot, what ends up happening, we dry the hair too quickly, and if the brush happened to be in a certain funky position, you can dry it in that position right away. So it'll crease the hair. So I like to keep medium heat, full speed. It almost acts like a more natural way of blow drying the hair, just with a sped up process. Okay, here we go. Okay. So not doing much. Okay, very little, right? Very much. I'm just showing the hair where it should go. See that? I feel my temperature rising. Now, very important. we start our blow dry around the baseline. Okay, the baseline, I like to consider it, or I like to explain it like the house's foundation, right? This is what's going to support the overall hairstyle. So it's important how we blow dry this, right? If we're just going to dry it quickly, down, back, whatever, and the hair is going to flop in every different direction, well, the hair on top is going to follow that pattern, okay? So I blow dry my baseline, right? Giving it a nice shape, natural shape going back. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to build the volume on the top, right? Now I'm going to tune out, listen to some tunes. Go ahead, Kurt, you're on. So now it's blow dry, right? Got my foundation in there. Worked on keeping that height, right? And you can see the grooming tonic, right? You can feel that grit in the hair, right? He came in with super clean hair. Now, just with grooming tonic, I already have a really nice hold to his hair, okay? So that's the advantage of when you're working with product, right? You get to actually see the haircut. And that's what we really want to do. We want to create a hairstyle that we can see. It's really important, right? So, and at the same time doing so, it's exciting for the client because he gets to see it. He gets to see it come to life, right? So, now in my second cut, the fine tuning, what I want to do to basically make it very tailored, right? I want to look at his overall hairstyle. I'm looking for shape. I'm looking for structure. I'm looking for height. I'm looking for weight. And I'm looking for what I need to add, remove, slice, or blend in order to get this looking perfect, okay? So the cool thing, take our blending shears, okay? And I'm just going to blend in my sides. Looking at the haircut, you already see the haircut and it looks fantastic. The cool thing about taking your blending shears and just brushing the edges with it, what the blending shears does is it helps remove any of those clipper marks or straight edge lines and adds a little bit more of a softness to it, allowing the hair to grow back really soft. That's what's going to keep that hairstyle really lasting longer. And if one thing coming out of this, clients that were getting their hair cut on a weekly basis, I don't see going forward a lot of clients getting their hair cut on a weekly basis anymore. Majority of people are probably going to be working from home. A lot of offices started doing that. Not too many people are going to be frequenting bars and restaurants. Well, we're in Canada, so probably other parts of the world, everyone is different, or their or their approaches are different. But pretty sure that until we know exactly where this is going, our social life will change drastically. That being said, it's important that a haircut lasts, right? As much as it does, or as long as it can. So for us, like I said, I hadn't cut his hair in 3 months. It was really nice to see how nicely it grew in. All these little things, all these little added touches that we do, our detailing, our tailoring, if you will, is what gives that haircut the longevity, okay? So with my blending shears, just working my way up, blending just my edges, my contour, making sure that everything blends smoothly. So now just adding that little bit of detail, right? We didn't cut too much, but just that little detail. I don't know how clear you can see that. I'm gonna try to bring it in. Okay. That it just softens up that whole edge, right? And that's what I really want to try to stress as much as possible. The finishing, the second haircut to me is probably more important than the first, right? The first haircut, the first part of the haircut, what we do, it gives our foundation, it tells us where we're going. But this part of the haircut, this is what brings that haircut to life, right? This is what makes it pop. This is what makes it unique. This is what adds all that little fine tuning and customization that's going to make this haircut unique to Jeremy. Okay. Now, again, the cool thing when you add a little bit of like the point cutting, what I was doing on that top section, it adds that little bit of definition. Like I said, if Jeremy wants to wear this as multiple hairstyles, right? You can wear this as pretty much a hard part pompadour. You could wear it as a slick back. You can wear it as a vanguard. You can wear it as a pompadour. You could wear all these different variations. Give that little bit of personalization in his everyday life. He wears a suit to work, but doesn't wear a suit on weekends, right? So it's got to be something that conforms to his everyday life at work and his weekend, his social life, and so on and so forth. So I love these types of haircuts. And that's one thing I always loved about REUZEL is that so many people always like, oh, but it's classic cuts. But classic cuts are pretty much the foundation to all haircuts, right? You need that foundation. You need that structure and that base in order to understand any haircut. And I feel by understanding REUZEL's approach to classic haircutting, it builds you a strong foundation in order for you to master or achieve any haircut from that point on. And that's the thing I like most about it, right? As a hairdresser and knowing a lot about like point cutting or slicing or cutting, razor cutting, all these different techniques. It's not to say that you can't create this haircut with 5, 6, 7 different techniques. It's endless. That's the beauty about what we do, right? It's being creative. It's being able to step outside the box. But in order to do so, I always said, it's really important to understand where the history of everything comes from, the basics of everything, right? So we talk about classic cutting, the classic hairstyles, what REUZEL stands for, what we're all about. The reality of it, those are the core hairstyles, the core foundation to all hairstyles. Knowing that and understanding that is going to make you so much more advanced in what it is that we do, because this haircut basically sits on the same foundation or the same principles on any other haircut. The only thing that will change is how long I leave the sides, what type of technique did I use cutting it, what tool did I use to cut it, and all those little changes that I make will change his hairstyle and add a little bit more creativity to it. So for us at REUZEL, I think it's important that when we do a training or when we do a class, what we're trying to teach or what we're trying to get through or have people understand is Barber 101, right? It's understanding the foundation, understand the fundamentals of barbering, where it stemmed from, the history of it. It's so important, right? There's that saying, in order to understand the future, you first have to understand the past. And it's the same thing with hair. In order to understand where we're going with hair, style is a cycle, okay? It starts at one place and to every 10 to 15 years always comes back with a certain variation of the classics, okay? So to understand where the future, where we're going, you need to understand the past. And that's really important, and that's what we really try to preach at REUZEL, right? We really want you to understand that in order to move ahead, you got to go behind, right? You got to go from the back, you got to go from the past, and you got to realize what it is that they did and how did they do it and how did they achieve it and how can we make it better. That's all we're trying to do, right? We're just trying to add our own little spin on it to make it easier, better, more sustainable, easier to educate, easier to have a client recreate. These are all the tools that we're giving you. And this is all the tools that REUZEL has given me in my repertoire. It always amazes me that it's funny. We do classic haircuts. I've been to the old school a few times now. I've got to meet a lot of the old and new groomers at the academy and at Scoring, and then our Scumbassadors from. I was fortunate enough to meet so many of them from around the world, and you're always learning something. That's the beauty about this. You're never not learning. And that's like, there's so many different ways to create this one haircut that the cool thing is what's going to make it different or what's going to make it pop or what can you add to it to make it, and we're constantly learning and evolving. And that's what makes it fun. So to me, it's never the same haircut. You're never creating the same haircut twice, because even at that, the way I cut it the last time grew out a certain way. His hair, it's changed, its texture, the seasons are different, there's more humidity in the air. All these factors play a major, major role in how his hair is going to react to what we do. So it's never the same haircut twice, right? So cleaning up my edges, I want to just now point cut my tips. I'll show you what I like to do with my blending shears. Okay, just like to get in there, add a little bit of texture on my edges, okay? What I like about this is it adds a little bit of volume, adds a little bit of height, but at the same time, if you were to want to wear it with a bit of a sidebar, a little bit of a more natural movement to it, it gives that little bit of definition, okay? So again, playing with different types of techniques, playing with different types of tools, you'll start to notice that there's a lot you can do, and there's a lot of different ways that you can add or contribute to what we already do, okay? A little bit of bulk, okay? You can then use your scissors, your blending shears, just do a little bit of channel cutting. And what this does, more than cutting, I feel this is what sculpting is, okay? Whether you do it with your blending shears, do it with your scissors, whatever it is, this is where you're sculpting and carving, just using the inside of your blade, okay? And it helps give a movement to the hair, okay? It helps put that hair in a little bit of a direction that you wanted it to go. This is what I meant when we talked about the clay and finding the hairstyles, right? Finding that overall image or haircut that's hidden inside that block of clay. That's what we're trying to do. So when it all comes together, you start to see it. I remember I still, when I'm doing certain clients, I start with one idea, and then just how his hair's reacting, it kind of shifts me into another hairstyle. But that's the cool thing about what we do. There's so many different ways that you can do it. There's so many different things and approaches you can take that it makes it so much more fun. All right. Do we have any questions? No? Any questions out there?
None whatsoever, Demo. Sorry about that, bud.
It's okay. It's good. That must mean I'm explaining that well. Okay, just tapering, cleaning up my neckline, open the face. So I just open my face of my clipper and just kind of blend that in. I don't want to go too much. I want to mostly just clean up the neckline. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to use my barber comb, and same thing. I just want to blend in, taper that neckline. I like to, when I come in with my comb, I'll lay it flat. As I get in, I slowly start to angle it up. It helps lift the hair, and at the same time, it creates that closer blend where I could leave a little bit more fullness on the inside or above it. So I'll start flat and I'll work my way angled, and then I kind of plateau it and use it almost like a shelf. There we go. I like the way that's looking. Okay. Okay. Looking great. Using my detailer. Even sideburns, I try to keep the overall hairline, neckline very natural. I won't take hair off and try to create a strong line. I want to keep it pretty simple, you know, just again, very, very minimal, creating a nice, clean overall approach. So, all in the detail, right? You want to make sure dot all our I's, cross all our T's. and made him realize what we've done, right? What we did as a service, what we've given him as an experience. That to me is really ultimately the most important thing, right? It's not just about the haircut. It's really about the experience. It's about the overall finish. It's about having your client feel good about himself, having your client look at himself and be happy with the final product, right? That's really what we try to do.
As you wrap up their demo, what kind of products are you going to finish off with?
So I'm going to actually go with the REUZEL Green, okay? Our grease-based product. Give a nice waxy heavy hold. Okay, I want to just basically work my finger in there, give a nice knuckles worth. Okay, work that into the hand. Really get that in there. And applying product is really important. The proper way to apply, right? Because a product is meant to enhance a hairstyle, right? It's not made to camouflage it. So camouflaging it with product would be taking the hair and flattening it where it wants to be, right? We know we did a good job with the haircut. We know we did it pretty much overall. You know, we made sure all our angles were taken care of. We made sure that all our baseline, all our detail, all our finishing. So now putting product in, I really want to enhance that hairstyle, right? I want to make sure that that hairstyle is fully popped, right? So I want to get that product everywhere into the hair, from root to end. That's really important, okay? So, one thing I like to use, when we have hair this length, and we give that really cool greased slick back or height, that heavy pompadour. If I want to give a little bit more texture at that root, the REUZEL texture powder, okay? Really just to add on the inside, just to give that little bit of texture, all the while still having the product on top, okay? It's not going to affect. I just find the mix of the wax and the dry of the powder feels like a really cool definition. Okay? So now that I got the product in, compliments of Mr. George. With my tail comb, my pick. Okay? Creating my finish. Right. Now, I'm exaggerating Jeremy's hair because it just looks cooler. But like I said, there's 3, 4, 5 different hairstyles hiding within this one haircut. Okay, and Jeremy's been coming to me for many years, so he knows that every time he gets a haircut, there's options. He's not stuck with one haircut. He's not stuck with one look. This is the look we went for today. This is what I wanted to do as far as for our education with you guys. But at the same time, if he wanted to wear with a hard part, there's no reason why he couldn't. Okay. There we go. So you see.
That looks really good, Demo.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things we can do, right? There's a lot of options with our haircuts and with our products. And the best way to understand it, I always say, is play with it, right? When you learn something or when you're taught something, it's one thing to listen to them do it. It's another to put it into play. So I always say, whatever bit or a tidbit of information or something you've learned or picked up, apply it. Apply it right when you get back into the shop, because that's the best way to understand how it works, right? So how we evolve, we get to know our patrons here, we get to know what we're doing, all these little techniques, product knowledge, extremely important. Read up on the products. Go to REUZEL.com, check out what we offer, check out our products, check out all the little Scumbassador tips and all the cool benefits that these products offer for your clients, and start exploring. All right. Again, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, REUZEL. Thank you, Kurt. God bless you guys, and good luck getting back to reality. Peace.
Thanks, Demo. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll bring us to the close of today's REUZEL Education Live. Join us again June 15th, 1 week from today at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, from Jason Irwin, straight from Scorum. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you next Monday.